Hello and welcome to Property Mastermind podcast with Hilary Saxon, episode number 50. Pretty excited to bring you this halfway to 100 episode today. And today, how can property development change my future? We are going to talk about some things that you're going to want to know about. So let's jump into episode 50. Hey, welcome to episode 50. Like I said, how can property development change my future? Meaning, how can it change your future? And episode 50, so we're halfway to 100, Bob.
Well done. Congratulations.
You're on 99% of them. And as usual, joined by the most famous Bob Andersen. But before
most famous person.
Most famous property developer in Australia.
In my room.
In this room, anyway. Mm-hmm. Before we get started, we're giving away the book.
Yep.
And I don't have a copy of it with me today because we're not even at home. We're not even in the studio. We're recording this while we're away. So it's a little bit of a different background. Probably look a little bit different to normal. But if I was holding up the book, which is Secrets of Property Millionaires Exposed.
Absolutely.
This week's winner is Bradley Deaver from New South Wales. So Bradley listens to us while he's driving his truck.
Yeah.
At the mine.
Why not?
Yeah, exactly.
Why
So
you?
there you go, Bradley.
Congratulations, Bradley.
The book's in the post. He messaged me through the website. We even had a phone conversation and he said to me, how do I get one of those books? So I said, well, there you go. You've just won it.
Yep, that's all you need to do.
How good's that? So let's get into it. How can property development change my future, meaning your future?
Well, it can in lots of ways, I guess. But
well, I think before we get
what's
on...
your past?
Yes, yeah, exactly. And I think what we need to discuss initially is your future is not luck. That would be your biggest takeaway today. Your future is not luck.
Luck's not a great plan to rely on.
No, you have to actually plan your own future. And we talked about that. We talk about it so often. Otherwise, you become part of somebody else's plan.
Yeah, like a minor player in
Yes, I love the way you say
somebody
it.
else's movie.
Yeah, and who wants to be a cameo?
Yeah, little part player on the sideline.
Yeah, you don't want to be the cameo.
I often use the analogy, you want to be in the game. You don't want to be standing on the sideline watching someone else play.
No.
Getting the glory, scoring the points or whatever it is.
Exactly. So before we actually get into the sort of second half of the podcast, I suppose we'd say, I want to cover off three things. And Bob and I talked about these. I wrote them up straight away. They are the main things for success in any area of your life. But let's look at property development being this one because that's what we're here to talk about. It's number one, you must have a plan. Okay?
Absolutely. And you're big on that.
Oh, no. People just don't get the importance.
They just launch themselves full of enthusiasm and good intention.
And yeah.
No plan.
No plan. Remember, it's like playing blind man's bluff.
Yeah. Or the plan is, I want to make a lot of money.
Yeah. Or I want to do property development.
Yeah.
There needs to be more than that.
A lot of moving parts.
So, number one, you must have a plan and you need to be clear about your plan. Number two, you must have education. You must have it. You can't Google property development. You can, but you remember, I don't know if you know much about Google, we're away on holiday, so we were just down visiting my mother, and she goes, I'll Google the answer to that. And bless her, she's in her 80s. But I said to her, Mum, do you actually know who wrote the article? Because it just could be anybody. It's a blog.
I know. It's not necessarily the fountain of all knowledge.
No.
There's lots of, that's the point. I mean, whenever I Google anything, if I'm trying to find information, I always go to, who wrote this? What credentials do they have? What experience do they have?
And why are they writing?
Are they just an influencer, with no real cred in that subject? But, yeah, very important.
Yeah, and why do they write it? They might be they've got their own agenda to write something.
Yeah.
People don't just write for the sake, not many.
No, you've got to dig below that surface.
Yes.
So same with property development. I mean, if you read an article on property development, that's great. Who wrote it? It could be just a journalist from a magazine who's never done anything.
Oh, my gosh. Exactly.
Grab little bits and pieces off the internet and try to put them together into an article or a small book or something.
And the other thing is, if you want to get into property development seriously, you can't just ask your mate. And this happens all the time. People, I'll show you, I've done one. But what they forget is their friend will show them bits of it because there are bits that they don't know themselves, but also they get busy with their own life and you become like a hindrance often, hey?
We see that all the time. People that have gone into projects, sometimes as an investor, under the guise, well, invest in my project and I'll teach you. But, it doesn't happen very often at all. And who are you learning of? What's their track record? How long have they been in the business? How many projects have they done? Where have they done them? During what market conditions have they done them? All these things are relevant. But anyway, back to your 3 points.
Well, and then, the first one was plan, be clear about it. The second one was get an education, because you'll get what you pay for. If you pay nothing, you're going to get nothing. And the last thing, and this is where people fall over, is you must maintain momentum.
Oh, yeah.
You alluded to that at the beginning. People start off with all that gusto and force, hey?
Well, I've seen it. I've been in the education business for a long time. When people, not just our courses, anybody's courses.
I'm guilty of one. I did buy a copywriting course once, and I haven't done it.
No, I mean, people start out full of excitement and energy and desire to do something, and that can come off the back of it could be in an event, somebody's selling a course, that's great, get all excited, they jump on, and that's a good thing. I mean, better to do that than to do nothing. But, that there needs to be more behind it than just a bit of excitement and energy, because it'll quickly wane.
It's like if you've ever seen the sales curve, it goes up, the people buy at the peak just as it's coming down, and then on the way down, they have they almost feel like they shouldn't have done it.
Buyer's remorse or whatever it is. But yeah, look, I mean, go into it for the right intentions, but that you have to maintain that momentum. And there's going to be speed bumps and detours. And
life is going to get in the way.
Friends who don't understand your motivation, your dream, and, we call them dream stealers.
Dream stealers, derailers, all of those things.
It could be friends or relatives with the, best of intentions in a way.
But they don't understand.
No, they don't understand. And it's not always easy to maintain that momentum, that go forward thing,
And we do see that. In fact, I just reached out to somebody in our mentoring program this morning. Hey, I get the feeling that you're feeling a bit, because we all do it. That's, that sprinkling of doubt comes into us, and I'm like, you need to talk to me. I'll get you back in the game, because trust me, anyone can do this, and we are going to smash through that right now.
Okay, what's happening now?
Okay, so how can property development change my future? The reasons it can. Well, we talked about, because we obviously have a discussion before we jump on behind a camera.
Yeah. Usually.
We talked about reasons people do want to do property development.
Well, I mean, an obvious one, people say, I want to earn a lot of money because property developers make lots of money. And yeah, that's true. If you do it well, you certainly can. But it's what, I guess, motivates people to do it. And that might be the underlying, the sublime sort of thing, yes, making money. But it's what puts people into
why
those
do they
positions.
Want to make that money? Yeah.
And, I mean, well, let's have a look at people that we've seen over the years, do our course, particularly in the mentoring program, because we work closely with them, but, divorce. It's one of the quickest ways of losing money is go through a divorce. And
there's a few people listening right now saying, yes.
Yeah, and so you come out the other side of a divorce, whatever side you're on, generally you come out with less money than you started. I don't think there's many divorces where you come out with 100% of everything. If you did, what about the other person that got zero? But then now you've gone from sort of there to there. So you've got to make up for it.
Make up that gap.
You've got to make up that gap and get back. Back on the horse, back on the bike. And
we see that, we actually hear it quite a bit. People have been through a divorce there.
It depends when you go through one as well. I mean, if you went through one in your mid-20s, you got a long time to recover. If you went through one in your mid-50s or, 60, you got a lot less time to recover. And that's the beautiful thing about property development is if you do it well, you can make quite a lot of money in a short amount of time, because that's often what you need to do. If you've only got 10 years, a 10-year time frame to recover from a situation like a divorce, then you have to be able to make a lot of money in a short amount of time. It's no good going out there and earning $30 an hour. You'll just survive if you're lucky. You've got to do more. And fortunately, property development's one of those things that you can recover in a short amount of time. It may have taken you, 30 years to get where you were, and all of a sudden you've only got half
Then
of
it takes 30 days to halve it.
Yeah, it takes a property settlement to halve what you've made in 30 years, but you can make that other half up very quickly.
Yes.
You don't have to wait another 30 years. It could be 5 years to make up 30 years. You know?
Yeah, absolutely. And so that divorce is one reason so yes, it can change your future from if you've had a setback with divorce. What about bad business? Sometimes people have come and joined up with us because they've had a business that didn't work out how they thought.
Yeah, and that can happen. I mean, in a way, it's positive in the respect that somebody's had a go.
Yes.
And I always respect people who have a go, at a business. And, there's reasons why they fail. Sometimes it's things we do ourselves, didn't do enough market research. But sometimes it's just...
Well, look at taxi drivers and Uber came along.
Yeah, exactly.
That sort of thing.
You
You never know where the future can make a change that affects you massively. Cameras, the old Kodak camera.
We've seen people that have got quite a good business in a regional area and the highway diverts around that town. Next thing it's a ghost town.
Yeah.
There's things you can't control. There's things you probably wish you should have done. But yeah, coming out of that, and the other thing is, like, you come out of a business that didn't work, you've probably lost some money.
Because you've invested it, time and money.
But what you've probably lost is your mojo and your confidence. And that's almost a bigger loss than the money.
I had a business once, and oh my goodness, it took me a couple of years to even speak about it. Because I've been quite an entrepreneur and had about 6 businesses, but one failed. And boy, does that knock you around. So I totally get people that have had a business. It takes ages. That was, 15 years ago, but it hurt. It hurt me emotionally so much.
Oh, no, that happens. I had a business partner once who didn't do the right thing. It caused me a lot of angst a few years ago, and you come out of that and you don't trust anybody anymore. It does take a while to recover those sorts of things, but you have to recover.
And there's a learning in that as well. I know exactly where we went wrong. So I had a business partner as well, and probably too much trust and not enough of my own due diligence, and because I was too busy. Yeah, but anyway,
busy in the
live
business.
and learn.
Yeah.
So what about another reason people might get into property development, which will change your future, is if you've been maybe an investor, property investor, and then perhaps you've gone on to renovations, because that's quite often how it can go. And then there's that realisation that it's a slower journey and they want to make money faster.
Yep.
So that's where getting into property development sort of works there.
Yeah, we often see that progression, and it doesn't have to be this way.
No.
People like property, understand it's a great asset.
And they're passionate,
proven history.
They're really passionate.
Yeah, they invest.
Yeah.
And then they think, oh, okay, I want to go faster. So they look at, value adding through renovation or whatever. And then they get on top of that and they think, oh, I want to go faster again.
It could be better.
It's property development. It's the pointy part.
I think if you're thinking about the same person I am, she has done that a lot in her life, and she was working full time, and she sold her business and decided just to finish the sort of her retirement. Not even ready for retirement yet, but getting closer to, and just get into property development. And she's smashing it. She's in our mentoring program. She's epic.
I know you talked about.
Yeah, but I think hers started with investing, renovating, still while working, and then no, I want to be a property developer, and doing so well.
Yeah. That was a combination of having a real passion for property.
Hers is passion.
So while she had her own business, which had nothing to do with property, she was in the business of into property, and that reached a point where she just wanted the career change, move out of that career and full time into property.
So that will change her future, how it ends up. So far we've looked at it can change your future if you've been divorced and you need to make some money back fast. If you've had a business fail and you need to start a new business,
that's a recovery sort of thing.
Yes, and then the
passion,
which is moving through,
which often leads on to a career change.
Yes.
Which ultimately could be, full-time development. And
what about, Bob, those that we're just sort of going through people that have come in, either just bought their bundle or they've joined the mentoring program, people that are looking at retirement that's not the way they envisaged it would be.
Oh, yeah. Well, we see that a bit.
That's quite
It's a funny thing about retirement. I mean, so often we're living the now. You know, we're young, we're thinking of careers, we're a little bit older, we're married, we've got kids, we're all in the now with the kids growing up. We know we're going to retire one day, and there's compulsory superannuation comes out of our salary if we've got a salary, or if we don't, then hopefully we're, you know, out of our business, we're putting enough aside. But it often comes as a bit of a shock, and it doesn't come as a shock until people maybe hit 50, you know, the old half century, it's sort of where you...
Like today's episode.
Yeah.
Episode 50.
Well, it doesn't mean you run out and buy a red sports car, or, you know, it's not a midlife crisis I'm talking about,
No.
but sort of people reach a point where they say, oh, hang on, I want to retire in 5 years, and they start to calculate where they're going to be and how long they're, well, it's hard to say how long you're going to live, but, you know, all of a sudden the dawning comes onto them, I'm going to come up a bit short. It could be a conversation they have with a financial planner about their future. It could be some calculations they do, and they've been so busy living their life, they haven't actually put enough away into the future, and you know, they think, my God, I'm going to have to work till I'm 80.
There's a saying about that. I've got too many years for my retirement or something like that.
Yeah.
That's actually quite a funny one. Probably should have looked that up.
Well, I remember that one, but I can't remember it,
Yeah,
but that's
yeah.
okay. Yeah, and so we meet people, and once again, yeah, it's back to that thing, that property development, because you can make a lot of money in a short amount of time, got to do it properly, you can make up for the past. So if you've had, you know, 30 years of maybe not putting enough aside, you might need 5 or 10 years of actually doing something where you can make up for, you know, 40 years of not putting enough aside. And, yeah, that's... And we see that a bit. I mean, it's not unusual for people to get close to retirement age and realise they need more. Not everybody wants to work till they're 80, although I might.
Yeah.
I love doing what I do so much, who knows?
I probably will.
Well,
I kind of, What would we do if we didn't do what we do?
I don't know. I've tried it twice.
Oh, have you? Gave it up.
Gave it
We'd
up.
probably fish a little bit more, although the weather's been a bit rubbish.
Yeah.
I might go back to golf. You know, something else, one we didn't write down or think about or chat beforehand. What about it can change the future for women who perhaps they're at home with small, younger children, and not necessarily babies, or babies are a bit busy, but we just had somebody recently come to us, and that's their thing. Their husband's working full-time. He's making an okay amount of money, and she's got a little bit of time on her hands, and they are...
Yep.
Yeah.
I know who you're talking about, and I've seen similar situations
Yes,
over
it's
the
quite
years.
common. I have conversations with those women a lot. They come to me,
Yeah.
would I be able to do this? We're like, hell yes.
Women make great property developers, and I mean, I know that. I've known it for decades. I've seen it, and we have a...
Huge amount of women.
We do, and I would categorically say that Property Mastermind has launched more lady developers than everybody else out there in the education space, because
I give it two reasons, Bob. I wonder if that is because of your experience, and the woman naturally trusts you, you know, because you've got so much experience, and then also me being with you as well. There's that for the people that don't always necessarily want to just speak to a male. I kind of soften the blow, perhaps. I don't know. Not that there's a blow, but you know what I'm saying.
And
but
my influential family members were my mother and my two sisters, who are slightly older, a little older than me.
Yeah.
So I was the baby.
Oh gosh.
So I'm used to having women around.
Yeah, maybe.
And as a result, I've seen that often, particularly where if you like, the lady's moving back into the workforce, perhaps, or even looking for something that she can balance out with the kids, you know, between 9 a.m. and 3 p.m. You know, with kids.
And generally, she's quite driven because she knows she can do something, and playing with Play-Doh doesn't work for everybody, and it does for some, and nothing against it. Some of us are just not Play-Doh workers.
No, and it doesn't take that long before that, you know, part-time property development role is making quite a lot more money than, you know, if it was a situation with a male working full-time.
Or it could
be a reversal. We've seen that as well, you know, with males looking after the kids, raising them, and having a partner who's a property developer.
What about we could celebrate today, even though it's on our Q&A tonight?
What are we celebrating?
We should celebrate Tanya. She only joined us about 6 months ago. Female, young, just got her first property. Offer was accepted last week. That's very exciting. That is very, and 2 small kids, 3 and 5 or 5 and 7, just tiny. So
That's what I love about Tanya. She's a very busy lady.
Very
Outside of property, very busy.
yes.
But she makes the time. She's determined. She's got a plan.
I was just looking at that. She's very clear on what she wants. She's got the great education. She's got the hand holding, so we're working with her quite closely, and she maintains momentum. She has done a great job. I hope she listens to this, Tanya. Well done, you. And I even wrote that in an email to you this morning. Well done. But you've done a fabulous job, and it's inspirational for other women, to understand that where you can go. So well done.
Yeah. I'll tell you another thing, in terms of how property development can change your future or change your life or the sort of life it gives you, is flexibility.
Yes.
All of a sudden, yes, you're running your own business as a property developer, but it's not one of those, if you've got a fish and chip shop, you've got to be open like lots of hours, lots of businesses, 8:30 till 5 or whatever it is, you're sort of locked in to, particularly if you've got a shop front, you've got a business, you're locked into those hours. But property development is quite flexible.
Hello, we're filming a podcast in New Zealand right now.
Yeah.
up against the wall of a room, not in our usual podcast studio. So
no, and I've got a conference call with my lawyer a little bit later, and we're making calls, we're doing stuff which you can do anywhere. But from a lifestyle point of view, as we know, when you do a property development, there's not a huge amount of hours that a property developer puts in, because it's our team that puts in the hours. We have to direct the team, but they're the people that put in the time. And so as a result, you do have, if you're doing 5 projects at a time, you're busy, but you could be doing 2 projects at a time and making 300,000 or 400,000 a year, just like cruising, like 8 hours a week or 9 hours a week, whatever you're doing. And you sort of work the hours, you work the meetings that you want, you work the hours that need to be done, but you work out when you do them. And so you can fit in your lifestyle. Like when my first 2 kids were growing up, I attended every swimming carnival, every T-ball thing they used to play on Thursdays. I'd be at all the soccer matches, and a lot of the mums, I was the only really regular male there, and the mums that see me coming, oh, g'day Bob, how are you going? I'm sure they thought I was on the dole, because I'd be there every event. I was there every event because I was interested in my children, but I had that flexibility as a developer.
Yeah.
If I knew there was a swimming carnival in 2 weeks' time on a Thursday morning, I'd just make sure I booked the time out. And I used to park my car a couple of blocks away, not to give it away. I thought it was pretty cool. They probably thought I was on the dole and I was really being a good dad. Yeah, funny stuff. But lifestyle.
Absolutely. That actually reminds me of a few other people that have joined us for lifestyle reasons as well, that actually don't want to work 8 to 5 anymore.
No.
Plenty of people don't want to do that. So
yeah, and fly in, fly out. We've had a number of people in our program who, the FIFO, and they're away. They're away from their wife or their family. They're making good money. But the thing is, like, if they were in property development back home, they could be back home with their family and make more money even than FIFO.
You listening, Bradley? He listens in his truck. We were talking about this, yes.
Yeah, so, we've had a few people through like that. Lots of reasons built around necessity in some cases.
Yes.
Lifestyle in some cases. Yeah.
So really, in summary, how can property development change my future? What we're alluding to is you might feel like you are forced into it, or it's more the stick than the carrot, or you're choosing to go into it via the carrot rather than the stick, whether it's a lifestyle choice or out of necessity or whatever it is. But property development can and will change your future if you do the first 3 things. 1, you have a plan.
Yep.
And are very clear about what you want. Otherwise, you'll just be bumbling everywhere.
Time frames, everything.
2, you get an education. You don't Google it or ask your mate to help you. You get what you pay for. And 3, you maintain momentum. No matter what happens in your life, you maintain the momentum. And those 3 things, can take you to the future you want in any arena, but especially property development. Would you agree?
Absolutely.
Have I missed anything? That's my 3 things.
It does boil down to that.
Yes.
And they're not always easy.
No.
Particularly I think the third one is really where people get derailed.
It absolutely is.
They might form a plan of sorts, and that's good. They know what they want to achieve and when they want to achieve it by. They get an education, hopefully it's a good one. But it's maintaining that momentum.
Propertymastermind.com.au.
It's that it's maintaining it as a priority.
Yes.
Not getting derailed by circumstances or friends or things that happen at work, or, reading too many newspapers.
Don't listen to the news.
Or whatever.
Yeah. But even as we have talked about many times before, somebody becomes sick or something happens to somebody close to you that affects your life. But, within reason, you need to still learn to maintain your dream. It has to be your dream, doesn't it?
Yeah, there's no joy in being a minor player in somebody else's.
No.
That will just lead to frustration, anger, feel like you haven't achieved enough in life.
Basically, it's be the star of your own life.
Yep.
Yeah, be the star, not the cameo player in somebody else's.
There's an old saying, be the head and not the tail. And you want to be the head, and you can be.
So, for those of you interested in learning more about what we do, head on over to propertymastermind.com.au. But also, we have got our 3-day online live workshop coming up on the 3rd, 4th and 5th.
3rd, 4th, 5th of June.
Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So if you're listening to this prior to that, you've still got time to register. There'll be a link below. You can click on that and join us for our online workshop.
That's launched many a developer.
I was just going to say that. They're your favourite words.
I do.
But yeah, we would love to see you there. If you're thinking about property development, if you've got any questions, you're welcome to email me and I can reply to them for you. And lastly, in June on the 18th and on June the 25th, 18th, we're in Sydney for a property development event talking about joint ventures. Check our emails because we're just confirming the location for that. And you might want to attend. There's a bit of networking and have a drink with us afterwards, get to chat with us. And then on the 18th, the same in Melbourne. And
18th in Sydney?
18th in Sydney.
25th in Melbourne.
Yeah, so if we organise that venue in Melbourne.
I'm working on the Melbourne venue, but I've picked the Sydney one.
Yep.
Just waiting to sign the documents.
And then we're good to go. So that might be a couple of it. We've done the first one in Brisbane. And
raging success.
It was a raging success. So,
it really was.
Yeah, it was great fun too. So anyway, I think that's it, Bob. I think we've, how can property development change my future? Well, it can make it a lot more financially fluffy, shall we say? Would that be it?
Absolutely. I love that. Fluffy. I never heard financially fluffy.
I went with an
good
alliteration.
Bit of alliteration there.
Yes,
it sort of like makes me feel like a softer life.
It does, a softer life.
Financially fluffy.
All right. Well, if you fit into any one of those categories, and I'm sure there's many more, we hope to see you somewhere around us sometime soon.
Yep.
See you next time.
Bye.
Episode 50's done.
Yay!
Whee!